Alright, here we are in our run and driving video of our super clean original 86 Ford Bronco Eddie Bauer. You can see all the lights working. Running nice and smooth, no belt noises, motor mount issues, no ticking or knocking. This runs really nice and quiet and smooth, especially for a carbureted vehicle. Hood shut's nice, got all your lights working. Got your four ways. You know, that does got the original exhaust. You know, you probably gonna want to replace it. You don't get any exhaust leak noises, but there's a little bit of when it's cold, you'll see some exhaust coming out of the muffler, and you can see the tailpipes a little bit rusted out. But you can see split lights working. But we left that alone because there's a lot of people want to put some flow masters or some dual exhausts on it, and it's nothing that it doesn't absolutely need to be replaced right now. It's just, you know, it's 32 years old. So I'm gonna show you the rear window switch goes up. The motor, you know, it's slow. Every Bronco motor is like this. I'm gonna leave it halfway up so I can show you on the inside that it also works from that switch. So here's the switch for this one. There she goes. Of course, goes all the way down too. So we'll go ahead and turn off the four ways. Your rear defroster's right here. It looks like it's on, but that's just the way the deal is. You click it to the right, turn off. Click it to the left, and you see that little light come on. Blower motor works nice, super nice and warm in here. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it's just nice and smooth. AC, of course, everything's there, but it's an 86, you know, it just pulls outside air in. It's not cold or anything. Got two sets of keys. Center console's nice shape, no holes all busted out. But one thing I forgot to show you that's pretty cool in the other video is this thing, you know, is bone stock, all original. I mean, even the gas cap is it's really hard to find. A lot of people just throw these away, swap them out, get some lock ones, but it's got a little Motorcraft decal on it. And this is original issue gas cap. You know, they went to a totally different plastic style in year after this. So it's really cool to see even those little details. Got the seat belt caught up in the armrest there. The passenger side window just got a new motor. Doors lock fine. You know, it's like it goes all the way down, of course, but I don't want to bore you to death. Doors lock fine, but the power door lock switch isn't working, so you have to manually lock them, which to me, no big deal. Wing windows are nice and tight; they stay in place. You don't need a nickel or a bushing there. That one does it nice too. Tilt steering's real nice and smooth. Stays in any position. No bushings are bad. Got your wipers. You know, no cracks in the window, just a little chip right there. Fresh oil change. E-brake, when you pull on it, you have to lift up with your foot, so it can probably use a little bit of oil. You'll notice when I push on the brake, it makes a little squeaking and rattling. It's not rattling, but it's just a little bit of squeak sound. Stereo, as I mentioned before, it's, you know, nothing amazing. But behind there, it's never been cut. I took this off to look at it. It's original cutout, so it's got a square here and two little holes, which is cool if you want to go all back to original. So all right, we're gonna hit it. You can see all the gauges are working. You know, it's a C6 automatic, so it's a 3-speed automatic transmission. Now, I've done a ton of Broncos, but for whatever reason, the 1980s to the 1986s, they're just really hard to find nowadays in clean condition, let alone really clean originals. You know, they kind of were the stepchild of the Broncos, didn't get a lot of love for a number of years, you know, a decade back or so. And so now kind of people are starting to realize, gosh, they got a really cool look to them. And you just don't see them very much anymore. But so I've only this is only the second Bronco I've had of this body style. I've had some F-150s and stuff like that, but this is the only Eddie Bauer, but it's the second Bronco I've had, and the other one was about 7 years ago. Just because I like really clean, untouched, original stuff. You know, it's got 33 9.5s, you know, so it doesn't rub. You know, if you turn all the way, you know, it's 33 inches, it will rub on a little bit on the radius arms, but that's just under full turning. So I'm gonna get on the highway here. You know, it doesn't brake like an 87 to 96. You know, I can tell the pedal's a little stiffer. It takes a little bit more leg to put into it, but I had the brakes checked out, had the brakes bled, oil changed, radiator put in, belts, you know, new radiator fluid. It's built like a brick, so you do get a little bit of wind noise, but you're not going to get the wind noise gaping in through the, well, the heater works really good. I got to shut her down. You're not going to get the wind gaping in from the sides or through the wing windows screaming at you. So I'm going to get out here on the highway, just kind of start putting. You know, it's a factory tack dash, which is cool, but it's kind of interesting how they designed them. The tack's right in the middle. You know, when I first jumped in this thing, I thought it was the speedometer, but then you look over and your speedometer's here. So I'm just giving it quarter throttle. You know, just cruising. Nice and smooth. I mean, this thing just drives nice and straight. You know, still drives like an old SUV, but I mean, I don't think you can get it to drive any better than this. You know, if it's doing 50, you can see it's got nice paint reflection, nice kick down. It's got the 351, the HO motor, but I mean, real nice pep, nice upshift. It's really cool to see somebody go through the expense though and see it's got a matching BFG 3395 spare. So if you do get a flat somewhere, you don't have to worry about sitting weird or blowing up your rear end because you don't have a right sides. But you look at most people who go up a tire from a 31 to 32, 33, 34, and even guys that lift them with 35s, and they always have the factory spare, and it just not only looks silly, but it's worthless. So I'm going to exit off of here. You can see the little arrow doesn't come on the dash when the blinker's going for the right side. You know, it should be right up here actually, so it might be a bad bulb, but you can hear it and it does work. You know, I've checked all that stuff. Nice, you know, the brakes, no grinding, no pulling, no shaking, just smooth stops. It just, you can hear the brake pedal squeak a little bit, you know, and it takes a little bit of foot to do it. You might be able to get, you know, all that stuff's pretty much original in this thing. I mean, you could probably get a more modernized booster and probably be a little bit more softer. I was reading on one of the Bronco forums that you could put a 96 booster in here. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but so you can see some potholes here, some bad patches. It just soaks them up nice. I mean, you can't really get a more rattle-free Bronco of this era than that. That's pretty much as good as you'll ever get. And it's just, you know, you get a little rattle from the back tire carrier, and you know, just a couple of small things, but you don't got door panels rattling, you don't got the dash rattling. I'm trying to think. I got my foot off. The cruise control's working. You know, it's always kind of nice to have, even though I'm not much of a cruise control guy. But so we're gonna go at some tight S curves. I'm gonna come to a stop here. Turn off the cruise control. Let this guy get out a little bit. So you can see some nice tight S curves here. You can see the steering just wants to recover nicely. You know, you can see there's no slop, no clunking, no ball joint issues, no tie rod issues. Nice and straight steering wheel. But that's how you know you got a good steering box, is you can feel resistance through tight corners like this, and it wants to recover. Anytime you go through a tight corner like that and the steering wheel stays turned, I mean, you got your steering box is just pretty much just slush inside, and the gears are toast. But so you can just see this. I mean, it's just a real nimble, you know, easy, fun to drive truck. You know, it's not gonna have a monster amount of power like these new full-size SUVs and stuff. You know, it's 80s. It's got some emission stuff on there, but it's got a lot of power. I mean, you know, kicks down when it should. No exhaust leak, just got a nice 4-barrel, still got its factory 4-barrel on there, every vacuum line, still got the smog pump. It's obviously doesn't have a belt going to it. Every component is there. I mean, under the hood is just complete, nothing's been cut, bypassed, you know, eliminated. And these trucks, you know, in cars from the 80s and even now in the 90s, but 70s, 60s, you know, when you come across them, it's like when you come across ones that, you know, no one's gone through the wiring. You don't see butt connectors everywhere. Nothing's been eliminated. Somebody didn't decide to, you know, bypass something with a toggle switch. It's little things like that when you start looking at these vehicles that you kind of start to appreciate really clean originals like this. You know, I can't tell you how many vehicles we look at, you know, trucks especially, where, you know, they decide to go to a different size carburetor, or and there's just hoses with, you know, bolts put into them with hose clamps, and you go on this going where, and you got dead wires just hanging out in the, you know, engine bay doing whatever, and you got toggle switches running the blower motor or something like that because they couldn't figure it out. So it's just cool to see, you know, but it's got a great little look with the 33s, but besides that, it's just, you know, even the stock wheels, they went through and found a matching stock wheel. Originally it's just a steel wheel, so obviously they really cared about this thing. And it's going to be going at no reserve, so good luck, everybody. It's got 125,157 miles. You know, it's a 5-digit odometer, but the history check rolls over really good with it, and just kind of the overall condition of this truck, I definitely would say it's rolled over once for 125, but, you know, you got to use your own judgment, and on paperwork, it'll say miles exempt just because of the 5-digit odometer. So, all right.